All right. So here we have a possible scenario for Bitcoin on the 6-hour time frame. We are looking for an expanded flat here in wave B, and between the 138.2 and 123.6 fib is the most common target for an expanded flat. And after the expanded flat, the plan, or I would say the bias for Bitcoin, is to move down in a wave C. And then we're looking at much lower prices, around 98k, something like that, at least. It's very uncommon for wave C not to move beyond wave A, which is called a running flat, but we'll get to that later. So an expanded flat is the most common flat out of all flats in Elliott Wave. And the reason, because this has a higher probability than a regular flat, is because, first of all, a regular flat is less common, as I just mentioned, and also that if we count wave B finished here, so here we have a WXY in a A and then a wave B, we can check the time here, and you can see that wave B finished before the 38.2% fib time, which is uncommon. And also, if wave B is finished here, then we need an impulse down to start wave C. And it's very difficult to count this part as an impulse. And I can show you here that if we count this as an impulse down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you can see the proportions here between 3 and 4, and compare that to 1 and 2. You see that it looks a bit off. And also, wave 3 isn't really a textbook wave 3. I mean, it's not common that it is textbook, but this doesn't look right. If you compare it to an ABC instead, you can see AB 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It has a way better fit than the impulse as we have here. But nonetheless, nothing is impossible. It's just about probabilities. So if this is an impulse, then we need to count this as wave 1, and we are looking for wave 2. Either wave 2 is finished here and we have wave 1 here, and then another wave 2. So 1, 2, 1, 2. But if this is wave 2, then it's very uncommon for wave 2 to hit the 88.6, which is here. So if we touch that, the probabilities for this to be a 1, 2, 1, 2 lowers significantly. And also, if this is a 1 and then we have a big 1 like an A, B, C, and if this touches this 886, this is taking from the start here to here. You can see the 886 here. Then it's very low probability that this is a 1 and that is a 2. Then we are looking more as like towards an ABC. So therefore, this scenario is unlikely, but it is a possibility. Here we have the expanded flat, as I mentioned, and this is possibly a triangle. It could be something else as well. We don't know yet. We could have wave X over here, like finished. But wave X is a bit shallow. So if we take a fib from here to here, you can see that wave X then finished around 23.6 to 14.6, depending if this is a triangle and the orthodox end will be here, then it's very shallow for a wave X. I mean, combinations tend to be more shallow than impulses or corrections in impulses, but still, I wouldn't be surprised if we move down to A, B, and then we have a wave X down here, maybe something like that, and then we move up and finishing the expanded flat wave B. And also we have another scenario. So I mean, this is the A, B, and then a deep C wave. Then we have a 1, 2, 1, 2. So here we are counting this as WXY, a finished WXY, and then a 1, 2, 1, 2. And here, the issue here is that the time for this second wave 2 is very long. So you can see here, if I take the fib time, that we are approaching the 4 fib time before being complete. So that is pretty uncommon for a wave 2, and therefore it has higher probabilities of being a correction. And if this is a correction, then this is unlikely to be a 1, 2, because we can't have a 1, 2 and then an A, B, C, because then we are moving up here to 161.8 as an expanded flat, and 161.8 as an expanded flat is very, very, I mean, that is very low probability that it's an expanded flat. And therefore, if this is an ABC, this wouldn't be a 1, 2, 1, 2. Then it is higher probability that it is an expanded flat we're looking at. And therefore, we need to be prepared to a big move down after we have reached the wave B end. And also in wave B here, we are looking for a Y wave. And wave Y can't be an impulse. So we need to have a combination of some sorts, like a zigzag or a flat. A triangle isn't really an option here because WX, and then you need to have a triangle like a running triangle. So this looks more like a zigzag or a flat to finish wave B. And if we have a zigzag and a flat, you don't have an impulse per se, and therefore we need to account for the move down. But we'll get to that later after we hit wave B. So the bias, the directional bias, I would say, is upwards. Since WXY, we are looking for the expanded flat, as I mentioned. This scenario with a finish wave B, we need to have an impulse, and if we hit the 886, then it lowers the probability extremely much for it to be a 1, 2, 1, 2. But nonetheless, it can be a 1, 2, 1, 2. We're only talking about probabilities here. But you can see the directional bias for a 1, 2, 1, 2 is also upwards. So we have an expanded flat upwards, and also 1, 2, 1, 2 also upwards. And we don't care as long as we know the directional bias, and that is upwards. So we'll take it step by step, and if we see a combination here, then we know it is high probability that this is a wave B, and we need to prepare for a move down as a wave C. Yeah, that was pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you later.